Okay, so Pat Mannelly, Jack Silverstein. We have been talking now on and off on a number of topics for almost a decade, believe it or not. Um,
Getting
so,
old.
right there with you, right there with you. So, I want to start with the 2021 Patrick Mannelly Award winner, Cal Adamitis of Pitt.
Yep.
He is the first NCAA recognized All-American long snapper, which that's pretty cool. That's just another milestone for the position. Give us the scouting report. I mean, I know you and I have talked before about what makes a long snapper serviceable, and then what makes a long snapper special. Obviously, this kid is special. Give me
Right.
the scouting report. What's the story?
So what's been fun now that we've had this award for 3 years, I've watched a lot of tape on all these college kids. And like I think we've talked before, they are all so accurate now. They're all really good. So the college game, they don't have to block. The majority don't have to block. So all they really have to do is just focus on snapping and then trying to cover. But all these kids now with all the training, shoot, they start when they're 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old, and they're working on perfecting their craft. But the guys now that have been the finalists for the Mannelly Award, it's an overall package. You've got to snap, and then if you protect, how can you protect and snap? And then the other one is Chris Rubio came up with it, and he's the founder of it. It's kind of just the mentality. Your mentality changes. You actually become a football player after the snap. And that's one thing I loved when I played was after the snap and after blocking somebody, I felt like I became a football player, and you get to go down there and make a tackle. So these three finalists we had, they were as good, if not better, than all the other snappers as far as just snapping. But then their protection, a couple of them had to protect, but then just their mentality, how well they snapped. Big kicks is another thing. You know, fourth down, we're all on fourth down. Late in the fourth quarter, you know, field goals, punt snaps, game-winning snaps like that. So it's just the mentality of the whole thing. And then Cal just was just better than the rest, and I think that's why he won. That's why he won. But he just has that mentality where he truly turns into a football player after the snap, and he is a fun guy to watch.
We'll see him on Sundays. Where
Yeah.
do you expect to see him in the draft?
6th or 7th round. He'll definitely be the one that's drafted. There might be a couple. Alex Ward, I don't know if he's going to go back to UCF. He was another finalist. I think he's got a potential to play in the NFL. But I think Cal's the number one by far, and I think he's going to be the number one on everybody's draft board. So I haven't really looked at who has the need of a long snapper. That can always change. I don't know the contracts, but I think he'll definitely be the number one guy gone. And I think it'd be, you know, for being a long snapper, if you're drafting the 6th round, that's a reward. That's an awesome thing. So I think he'll be a 6th rounder.
Great. Okay. So I know that the award is supported by Zebra Technologies and Bernie's Book Bank. Tell me about what the two of those organizations are doing to support the award.
Well, we'll start. I'll give you kind of the whole story. The background is Chris Rubio and Kevin Gold came to me, and they're really the true founders of the award. They came to me and they said, listen, we need to make a long snapper award for the nation's top college long snapper. And I was like, heck yes, we have to do this. It's time. All these kids are scholarship kids. All 32 teams in the NFL have one, so it's a true position. And they said, well, we want to name it the Mannelly Award. I was like, oh, okay, all right, that's really cool. But enough of that. Let's talk about how do we get this thing done. And we talked to the people at the Maxwell Awards that run all the Home Depot awards with all the other, you know, positional awards there. And one of the things you have to have is a charitable component to it. So my dumbass, I'm sitting there at a charity event, golf outing, and I've met Darren Utnick, who's the CEO, and Brian Florianis, who's the founder of Bernie's Book Bank, and I'm at their golf outing, and I'm talking to them over a beer about the Mannelly Award moving forward, what we need to get done, and they're just looking at me like, yeah, you're looking at one right now. And then finally the light bulb goes off my head. I'm like, wait a minute, what about if we team up? So we did, and they have really helped facilitate this award to be where it is, where we hosted at their facility. And Bernie's Book Bank, real quick, is they supply books for underserved youth in the Chicagoland area, where they get a bag of 8 to 12 books. I think it's 8 books right now. And it's just to see these kids' faces light up too when you go on these books distribution. That's the most rewarding thing. So it's an honor to be teamed up with them. And then now with Zebra Technologies coming in, it's even a better sponsor. It's just a great, perfect little marriage here that, you know, they do all the NFL tracking of all the players. So like Jakeem Grant's touchdown the other day talks about how fast they ran, how far they ran,
Right.
all that stuff, ball placement. So it's kind of a cool little marriage because they're behind the scenes and they bring up stats that people don't really know. And we want to be, as a long snapper, be behind the scenes. And we never want to be known. So it's a neat marriage, but it's cool that they're involved with football. They do a lot of other things, scans and barcodes, work with hospitals, the wristbands for the hospitals that make sure you're the proper patient and getting the right things done. But they're just a perfect marriage. I really look forward to working with them together. And I think with us, Bernie's Book Bank and Zebra, we've got a really bright future, and I look forward to the future winners to be coming back to Chicago, because when they come in for our ceremony, we go down and do this book distribution. We went down to the Hope School in Chicago just a couple weeks ago now, or last week, and just had a great time with the kids delivering the books. And just one real quick story about delivering these books to the kids.
Yeah.
Darren, you CEO, you go into the classrooms, you give them their nice bag of books, the Bernie's bag and all that kind of stuff. And young girl opens up a book and she's like, "Oh my God, how did you know?" And he's like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "I asked Santa Claus for the Trolls book. How did you guys know? How did he know?" And he just said, he's like, starting to cry. He's like, "Oh my gosh, that's how moving it is for these kids." And they love to exchange books and take them home to read them to their brothers and sisters. And so it's just been a really neat marriage with all of us. And we really appreciate Zebra being the presenting sponsor and helping, really make all this happen, because without them, you need somebody for help, and they're helping a lot. So it's been great.
That's awesome. It's been cool to see all this attention on this position. And I remember that was it during the national championship game last year, the broadcast gave Thomas Fletcher a pretty extensive shout out. And I've learned, obviously, with the George Berman story, I've learned quite a bit about long snapping in the past year. So it's been cool to watch.
Well, it's been awesome for you to help promote it and give us the backstory, and I got to learn from you as well. So I appreciate all the work you did and all the research and the people you talked to. I know that had to be fun, but that's still time and effort and work. So I really appreciate that for all that you've done, because when you wrote that story, that just shot through the long snapping community. And
did it really?
Like, there is a long snapping community. Like, Chris Rubio's big in it, and it just emails or texts are going, "Hey, did you see this article? Did you see this article?" And so it's been really neat for you to help spread the word about long snapping and the history of long snapping, which is a neat story. If you're a football nerd, they need to get their hands on it, because it's a really cool story.
Yeah, definitely. That's the story of George Berman. Check it out at Windy City Gridiron.